Hello, my name is Álvaro Oliveira, and I'm a Portuguese lawyer. And I'm now retired, but I worked for 20 years for the European Commission. Before that, I worked for 7 years in the European Court of Justice and 7 years in academia. I was a law professor in Lisbon. Of course, here I'm talking on a private basis. I've got to know about MPG when I was finishing my PhD thesis in the European University Institute in Florence, which I concluded in 1996. But I was mainly in contact with MPG later on when I worked for the European Commission from 2004 to 2024. For 12 years, from 2004 to 2016, I was responsible for managing, from the Commission side, the contract of what is now the anti-discrimination strand of the European network of legal experts in gender equality and non-discrimination. And actually, I would like to make 3 points. I mean, first is that the contribution of the network for the work of the European Commission, and in that sense, the contribution of the MPG for the work of the Commission in equality and discrimination, I think has been very important. For the work of the Commission, one has to just keep in mind, imagine to prepare new directives, to implementing existing legislation, like opening infringement procedures, or like participating in the discussion of cases at the European Court of Justice. The European Commission, of course, needs accurate information of what's happening in a member state and needs also good legal advice. And that's where the network and the MPG have made a contribution for this work of the Commission. I cannot disclose any details, but it's part of the contract of the European Network of Legal Experts that it provides information to the Commission. And that's one of the sources, one of the main sources, I would say, of the background work of the Commission in this area. So my second point is that I would like to say that I've appreciated a lot the professionalism of the people in MPG. And for me, it was a real pleasure working with them, working with Isabel Chopin and other colleagues. That was always very, very nice and very fruitful. And my third point is that I realize, of course, that the work of MPG goes much beyond the work that they do for the European Network of Legal Experts. And I think they have made throughout these years an important contribution, an important intellectual contribution for the debate and for the information. I have one example which always I was struck, I was impressed by the work, for example, on the migrant policy integration index. And I think this is a good example of the work that the MPG has done throughout these years and more generally on these areas, because in the intersection of academics, in the sense that it was a deep study, but also of policy studies that can make things go forward. And of course, it's needless to say that in these difficult times for equality and for migrant integration, the work of the MPG is all more important. So I wish them all the best, and thanks for your work all these years. I think we are all struggling to cope with the different aspects of a new international and European situation that is developing in front of our eyes every day. But if I want to give a wish or express a wish, I think is that the MPG goes on doing what they can do best. And what is that? Is basically avoiding the theoretical and abstract discussions and concentrating more on the evidence-based, on the objective reality, on what exists, what can exist, but on the basis of facts, on the basis of the experience that we have had in the last decades of what can be migration and what can be a policy on equality. Because, of course, now we have a lot of issues, but there has been an immense progress in the way that equality and migration is being dealt in the European Union, and the MPG has been part of it on this objective, rational, evidence-based approach. So that's my wish, that they keep doing what they do best.